Okay. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody tonight? First of all, I just want to apologize. It's just that I want to, give an opportunity for the co-host to appear. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense. The reason why I call it Uncommon Sense is because we are dealing with everyday issues and trying to find solutions using logic, which unfortunately not everyone uses. Now, just to let everybody know, tonight's stream is live on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope and Twitter. I just want to encourage everyone to please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I prepare a video or a live stream, you will get notification. Okay, I'm trying, Denise. Just give me a moment. Okay. Okay, oops. Okay, and the link is there. So the topic for tonight's issue will be Millennials and Baby Boomers. What do we have in common? Now, when they hear that question, they tend to assume that we don't have many things in common. That is the reason why we're having the discussion. So we can discuss what's unique regarding the baby boomers and what's unique regarding the millennials. Good evening, Denise.
Hi, Jose. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you doing today?
I am good. It's been a crazy day, but I'm good.
Okay, but you know something? That's the reason why we have to be flexible at times. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially now when we're all prepping for the holidays, I'm back to work from my vacation. It's been hectic. So
I can understand. I've been on vacation since last week, and you wouldn't believe some of the stuff I have to. I mean, I had so much stuff to do. It's almost like I was working.
Oh my God, yes. That's how it feels. Like, in all honesty, it is like that. But we're here.
Yes.
Which is the good thing.
That is the good thing. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, Denise. When I thought about millennials, you were the first person I thought of.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How so?
Because you know what? I think you represent the finest as far as millennials are concerned. Unfortunately, some millennials make it harder for everybody else, and everyone assumes that all millennials are the same. And we know that there's good and bad in every group.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, would you like to speak about the millennials and what makes it unique from the baby boomers? And are there anything that's common between our two groups?
To be honest with you, I would say that aside from economical circumstances, which I agree, I think that's one of the only things we have in common with baby boomers. I was raised by baby boomers, so I would know. I think the socioeconomics, because if you think about it, um, baby boomers had a lot of financial hardship coming up, and to be honest with you, it was the same thing. Wars were packing up. They had a lot of absent fathers for different reasons. Some died in the war, some left their homes for whatever reason. The culture was almost similar. It was the inception of the culture of single mothers, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, right now, we were basically in the middle of the 2008 financial depression. That's
Mm-hmm.
when a lot of us were either turning 21 or 18 and whatnot, and we were already in the same kind of financial hardship. Now, one thing I would say that's different from millennials and baby boomers is that the avenue for baby boomers to get out of poverty or like to advance financially was college. That's no longer the case for millennials. And I think in that aspect, baby boomers are able to understand us better than Gen X, because we're literally saying these things like right now, the return on investment that millennials get in college compared to the return on investment that baby boomers got is not the same. Like you will invest when you went to college, let's say, like how much was your tuition?
I remember my first semester, which was the spring of 1982. That kind of gives you an idea how old I am. Uh,
Yeah. You're and not to be surprised, but you're literally 1 year younger than my own father. So I know
um,
you
tu-
guys are reaching the golden age.
yes, tuition was 140 a credit,
Oh
and
wow.
that was at a private university. Uh,
Yeah, mine was $500 a credit, but it was in Puerto Rico.
Okay, and for the benefit of those who do not know, I am a graduate of Long Island University. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, which I was unable to use, but I was able to gain employment in social services.
To be honest with you, that goes to show like how universities uh, basically turn into business, to the point that as long as tuition gets higher and education is the only thing that you have when you don't come from high money, to get out of the situation you're in or to reach like a higher status, or like to get into the upper middle class and whatnot. Um, it poses a debacle, I think, that most millennials have, because right now, as an exchange, for example, you graduate from high school and basically what they're telling you, okay, you want to work, give me 150K and I'll give you a certificate, and then you go out without any reassurance that you're gonna find a job in that position that will pay you enough to even survive or pay your bills. Because let's not forget, like, the minimum wage according to inflation should be $24 an hour. And even when you go to college, I think what you get as a return on investment on a regular, like if it's not in STEMs, I don't think university right now is even the way. I think the way that millennials the only way that millennials have, the only avenue that has replaced university, which worked perfectly and beautifully for baby boomers and Gen Xers, for millennials has become entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
It's the only avenue right now that, and also a lot of financial discipline.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things we have in common. It's that it's the financial situation that we're in.
Okay. I think what we need to do is we need to define what are millennials and what are baby boomers. As far as the baby boomers, since I'm one of the few baby boomers on YouTube, I will speak on that. Baby boomers happen to be people that were born between 1946 and 1964. What happened was you had military personnel that somehow survived World War II and their active military service, and they returned to their respective homes in the United States, and then they got married, and then they proceeded to have a whole bunch of kids because
Mhm.
because what happened is you have a lot of veterans that were busy doing chaka chaka chaka.
Yes.
So now, for those of you who don't know what that means, is sexual relations. Okay, so as a result of men having relations with their wives and their girlfriends, they produce a lot of kids, and they became baby boomers, which because there was a huge uptick in the population. We grew up in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And of course, we did not have social media. Okay. The telephone we had hung on the wall. And if you wanted to find out anything, you had an encyclopedia, which was a whole set of books, not compared to what the millennials have today. So, how would you define millennials?
I mean, starting from the dates, I think millennials come from what, 1981 to 94.
Mhm.
Um, most of us are right now in either our mid 20s, well, late 20s, and I think all the way to 40. And I think we're in, our population is like what, 70 million, 70 million, 72 million in the US, are millennials right now.
Mhm.
Um, Now, one thing I would say is that millennials were the first generation that, when we were already in our adolescent years or our teenage years, um, we were introduced to the internet. And because of that, that brought very positive things. Like the world, we were the last generation that experienced the analog world when you actually have to go and do things yourself out there. And in the middle of that, we faced like a major change where things were done from a screen. We lived through that inception, so we had to unlearn analog ways and then learn like all these new skills at a very fast pace, because when the internet was introduced to the majority of us in the late 1998, um, we were very confused. There was a lot of questions, a lot of things we didn't know how to do. You had to spend a lot of time, uh, a lot of time on the screen to get stuff done. But also, like, emails were introduced later on, chat rooms, and that's when the world started communicating with each other.
Mhm.
And we experienced that. Like, you could have friends from London, you can have friends from Russia, you can have friends from Venezuela, from Peru, from Cuba, and whatnot. And you were probably, like myself, I was in Puerto Rico and I have friends from all different places. Not that they were real friends, but you know what I mean, like cyber friends. It's not the
I
same.
think I think the phrase is chatmates.
Yeah, you was that. That's more appropriate. Like literally, it's chat mates. Because you couldn't see them, you couldn't hear their voices, you didn't know what they looked like. They were only like an avatar, like literally an avatar on the screen with a name, and that's all you had. At best, you will have a server number if you were like into like investigating a lot of things.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, I think that's one of the things that messed up millennials in many ways,
Mhm.
because we were on the path of being one way. And I think what identifies millennials right now mostly is that we are the generation that got forgotten in this whole transition. Like there's nobody cares about the gap, between pre-technological era and technological era. Nobody cares about that. Like we have to literally unlearn everything, start from zero. And at the same time, those were formating years that you will make decisions that will literally impact the rest of your life. And because of that, and that requires so much time and explanation for us to understand. Because of that, many millennials nowadays are struggling individuals with their finances. They don't know what to do. A lot of them are starting things very late in life. I think there's positive things that can come out of that, because now you have one of the things that I would say is, like, for example, if you are starting like your entrepreneurship venture or journey, um, when it comes to, like, 25 years old or 20 years old, let's just say 21, um, you will have the energy and the knowledge of all this technology at your hand. But now the advantage that you have as a millennial over a senior that's going through all these things, that you have the discipline, you have the wisdom, and you also are less emotional, more assertive to actually do this, which is why we're seeing people in their 30s or their 40s right now doing things that normally 30s and 40-year-olds will not never do before us. So like I said, it's you can see the negatives, but I'm also showing the positive impacts of what millennials have gone through. Of course, I think 9 times out of 10, most of us will go down in history as a forgotten generation that didn't use the internet. We were used by the internet, and it will be probably 1 or 2 out of 10 of us that actually will understand how to use the internet to our advantage instead of the internet using us.
Well, the fact of the matter is, sometimes us baby boomers, we have problems dealing with the new technology and whatnot. Unfortunately, you have some baby boomers that are not so swift with social media. Um, in fact, I just learned today to make you a moderator on my channel.
But that's actually cool.
Mhm. Yes, and not only you, but your significant other, which I like to refer to as my cyber son-in-law.
Absolutely. You know that I mean, now you can hit him with the chancla. You know it. You know it.
But you know what I did? I actually did something a millennial would do.
What?
I actually went into YouTube and actually look at the video how to do it.
Oh my god. That's so millennial.
So would you say, as a baby boomer, I'm unique?
I think we look, to be honest with you, I struggle a lot to see things that are the same,
Mhm.
because give me 1 second, Jose. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I struggle a lot, mainly because my parents are from that generation. So of course, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to me. I don't see a lot of things in common, to be honest with you. But I took a longer and deeper look, and I started realizing that, yeah, we have like a lot of things in common. Of course, one generation comes from the other mainly, even though we do have on the younger spectrum of millennials. They are the product of Gen Xers. So, of course, we have both. But for the older millennials like myself, they're in their 30s and about to be 40. Um,
Well, actually, you're a few years away from that, and I prefer to think of you as a seasoned millennial or a veteran millennial.
yeah, I'm 6 years away from 40. I'm 34. So I'm not that far away from that. But in my opinion, I think now, like as I get older, like I can see a lot of like my parents in me, like a lot. It's just, it's harder to see because, like I said, I think baby boomers also don't share a lot of what they went through, in my opinion.
Why do you think that is the case?
I think it's because they were raised by a generation that did not wanted to hear them complain. And also, they were a different breed. We're talking about different people because regardless of what baby boomers went through and like all the things we can blame baby boomers for, um, we have to also give it to them and understand that they are a different breed of people. They were not like they didn't have this time to be on Instagram complaining about how the world is doing this and how they disagree with that and whatnot. They actually had to go out and make something out of themselves. There was no other option.
Well, in my parents' case, both my parents were. Um, my mother was born during the Great Depression, and my father was born just before it started. So that's a totally different generation. And what they taught us was the importance of finishing school, getting a good education, so therefore you can get a good job. Um, that template might have worked for people in my generation, but it's not going to work so well with the millennials because their circumstances are quite different. What is your take on that?
Yeah, of course. The circumstances are different, but also, in all honesty, we have to talk about also how baby boomers. I'm sorry, Jose, I have to go there. But baby boomers, right now, baby boomers are the generation that introduced plastic surgery. Let's just start by that. Because baby boomers did not want it to get old. Like they just do not want to pass the baton to nobody for like in its bulk. Like they still think they are young, that they can do a lot of things, that you know they don't want to be. That was their way, I think, to combat like technology. It was like, I'm gonna remain young on the outside and stay relevant, and the way they found to do this was with plastic surgery. And to be honest with you, when you see us now as millennials having all this plastic surgery, all this Instagram filters, and making a fool of ourselves on the internet simply to just to stay relevant because we're no longer like the youth, you can see a lot of similarities there. And start, I don't know, it's like a weird feeling to start seeing yourself in your parents,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, the fact of the matter is, again, as I stated, we grew up in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And that was a time of a lot of social changes. First of all, you had the civil rights movement, which started in the 50s. And then in the 60s, you have the women's rights movement, Also, you have in the late 60s the start of the LGBTQ plus community movement, or as I simply like to refer to as the community, because I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's just too many alphabets to remember.
Just say the LGBT plus.
Okay, well, I know, and if there's anybody there that's in the audience like that, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just that I struggle sometimes, all remembering all those letters.
Yeah, me too. Trust me, all of us do, and more letters are gonna come out as seniors. I think, to be honest with you, now we have to do a video on seniors.
What's a senior?
Seniors are Gen X, Gen Z. I'm sorry, Gen Z, and oh my goodness
You know what?
gracious.
That would be a great idea. Now, I knew for a fact that when I planned this video, I mean, first of all, unfortunately, there are not too many YouTubers that are baby boomers. Um, Now, the closest ones, as far as my age is concerned, and I think they're mostly Generation X people, are Ramon, True Teacher, and Inquisidor.
Yeah, I think Inquisitor is like around your age, but Ramon and Truth well, yeah, Ramon and Truth Teacher are more like Gen X.
Yes. Also, Inquisidor. I mean,
Well, I don't know about Inquisitor because I think he's just like a few years shy of you. I don't know. We will have to ask him if he is Gen X or Baby Boomer.
um, but I did speak with him briefly um, on Fighter Stream, and he indicated that was like a couple of summers ahead of him. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, he probably is a Baby Boomer. We'll see. One day we will ask him. But to be honest with you, like I said, I think there's a lot of animosity towards baby boomers and their decisions. One thing I would say, and I love to get political, so I'm going to get political.
That's
One thing
right.
I would say is that baby boomers did screw us a lot when it came to politics.
Okay.
Um,
In what way?
because they were the first generation that was introduced to mass journalism and TV networks. And when they were growing up to be susceptible to propaganda through TV, through color television. Because when you guys were kids, most of it was radio and black and white TV. So when this news and this network started coming out, they could play with your minds because you guys had the same issue we're having with social media and the internet, overconsumption of TV, and that shaped you guys' mind to take a side. And basically, what a lot of baby boomers are doing and have been doing for the longest time is just vote for whatever they identify themselves with, rather than thinking more logically and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do this trade-off because it will cost this, and that for future generations." That's an unfortunate truth, and we're seeing it now with millennials as well. In this past election, a lot of things through social media got pushed onto millennials, and we made the same mistakes and voted for the same people and did the same stuff that baby boomers did. So we have to, I think it's kind of positive that we're having conversations like this, because it will go to show us that history keeps on repeating itself, and the only thing that we can change is us. We can make the intelligent choices not to screw over like future generations.
That is true because years ago I would consider myself hard right. In time, I have moderated. In some areas, I still lean to the right, But what I do now is now I'm looking at the whole picture. And I'm looking at things through a more objective appraisal. Um, so in my case, I think I'm slowly evolving. Sometimes people are incapable of doing that.
So you say you were a Republican for before, Jose?
Actually, I've always been a registered Democrat. I would consider myself a Reaganite Democrat. Uh,
So you're a lefty.
I wouldn't say that. Um, I'm okay. Okay. I'm becoming more of a moderate conservative. However, I can see like the certain points that the progressives make that do make sense. I can see that, and I know I'm going to get heaters for this, but I might as well come out and say it. Um, I'm also pro-life, but even going there, I see there are areas where pro-life and pro-choice people can agree on.
Yeah, I look, I'm gonna say something. I am, and I'm gonna get heat for this too, but I am extremely pro-life as well. Um,
Okay.
I think that you can be pro-life and pro-choice at the same time. The thing is, like, one thing I would say that I absolutely hate about my generation is that our parents, well, not my parents, because my parents believe in consequence heavily, but most of the parents of most of baby boomers, let's just say that most of baby boomers either raise kids in a single parent household or divorced households. That's what most of baby boomers did. And one thing I will say is that that had consequences. And the thing is that baby boomers, in its majority, when they raised kids, instead of giving the kids the consequences, a lot of baby boomers were thinking about themselves when they were raising us. And they either gave you like a shit ton of consequences or no consequences at all. They were the ones who started this whole non-consequence, no consequence culture that has devolved into what we're seeing today when we want to do mental gymnastics when it comes to explaining politics and simple things in life. And one of those things that we had now is the pro-choice, pro-life debacle.
Mhm.
And one thing I would say is that the pro choice mentality was introduced by Margaret Sanger. We all know that. And to be honest with you, that has been used now to remove the burden of the consequences of irresponsible sexual behavior in people. And I'm going to explain myself. If you weren't assaulted, which in that aspect I am 100% pro choice, like if you weren't assaulted in any way, like you consented and you had sexual intercourse with somebody that resulted in pregnancy, you consented to that. There are 34 forms of birth control for women, four different forms of birth control for males. So to be honest with you, why we have to use medieval forms of birth control when we have advanced to the point that you can actually solve that problem before it becomes a problem. We're talking about a lot of women and men that have decided to engage in sexual activity and not require any form of protection. And then they just want people to remove the consequence. And I think that by doing that, that creates a bigger social problem because if we're having all this crazy sexual activity outside and we don't have the consequences of our actions, and we don't have to live through them, what that will create is a bigger irresponsible sexual conduct and culture out there, to the point that we have women today that have had several procedures of this performed on them. And that's alarming. That is, I am so sorry, but like, if you're not aware of like how many different bacterias and germs and infections enter your body when you exchange sexual partners without any form of protection or barrier to protect you from it, like, where are we gonna go with this? Because like, it's the same thing with that we're seeing with all of this stuff that people are demanding right now. That is why a lot of the left and progressive agenda I don't agree with, because it's basically removing consequences from people's actions. Now, there are some things I agree with, like Medicare for all, like raising the minimum wage. There's a lot of things that I agree with. I'm liberal in many ways, but I'm also conservative in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
So this whole thing, pro-life, pro-choice thing, I'm like, no, the choice, you will have to fight better to get access to birth control, which a lot of girls have since age 16, and some states age 14. You can be on birth control. There are several, like, if you don't, you even have a sticker if you don't remember to drink your pill every morning. Like, when we were younger, that was one of the only forms. You had the pill, you have a sticker, you have a ring that you can insert in your vaginal area, you have, UID, I think, UED, something like that. You have the next one on now that can go on your arm. There's a lot of forms. You, and in case you don't have any access to these forms, you also have the infamous after day after pill. So, which you can take after you had irresponsible unprotected sex with somebody that might get you pregnant.
Hmm.
So there's no need for you to keep having abortions.
Yeah. And one thing that gets lost in the pro choice, pro life argument, when Roe v. Wade became the law of the land in 1973, um, there have been a lot of medical technology advancements since then where a child could be born as early as 20 weeks.
Hmm.
Uh, and, and that is a fact. And the fact of the matter is, there are so many ways to prevent pregnancy. Now, well, I get into some hot water with some of my fellow pro-life people is that I do believe there should be sexual education taught. Um, I do believe if you're going to engage in that type of activity, make sure that you have devices to reduce the possibility of pregnancy. And I remember my mother, God rest her soul, when she was alive, she used to tell my nephews and my grandnephews, whenever you are with the ladies, make sure that you have your party hat with you.
Hmm.
So, and there are other areas where are unique among pro-lifers. Um, but unfortunately, you have extremists in both sides of the ledger who make things even more difficult to have a serious and respectable discussion.
Come again?
I say, unfortunately, you have extremists on both sides that make a respectable interchange between pro choice and pro life people almost impossible.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm. And Also, there are certain issues that applicable to millennials that um, baby boomers have not experienced to the same degree, which is unfortunately baby millennials have a huge amount of student loan debt, and
Yeah.
also they're bless you. They're also concerned whether or not Social Security is going to be around when it's their turn to retire.
Most likely it will, there will be another form. I
Okay.
mean, we can get political on this, but I don't want to get political, Jose. You're trying to pull me to the dark side.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying. I'm just trying to state what's there.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. If Social Security, that, I don't think Social Security is going to go anywhere, but that's
Okay.
just me.
Mhm.
Because Social Security is the only thing that's keeping people and baby boomers from voting out the bipartisan system we have. So to be honest with you, if they were to cease, by the time we are eligible for this, it will be what, 33 years from now. You will be in your 80s. Uh,
I'll be like in my 90s,
will close. Yeah,
which
you'll be in your 90s. That's absolutely true.
which would make it 15 years plus where you want to be beyond where you want to be.
That's way too young, too old for me. Hell no.
Well, let us say we're going to respectfully disagree and just keep it like that because
Uh, mm. But going back to the Social Security, look, I don't think Social Security is going to go anywhere. I think this is one of the lies that America has told us for the longest time to kind of like. I think America works a lot with fear. Social Security keeps getting funded. We don't have a date for when Social Security is gonna end. And to be honest with you, I don't think millennials are going to have it if Social Security was to not exist, or even Gen X. If Gen X gets uncovered by Social Security anytime soon, the people, because look, the Social Security system was introduced, and all of these little things, Medicaid, welfare, and all this stuff, unemployment, blah, blah, blah. All these things were introduced for people that wanted to guarantee their their successful rise to power. So if imagine a party that has the cojones to remove Social Security, they will never get elected again in their lives. Like, it will go, that party will stop existing. So who's going to take the brunt of that? None. If they want to stay in power, I think they will find a way to fund it. They will take the money from somewhere, and I don't know where it's gonna be, but I don't want to guess. But I don't think Social Security will ever stop existing. And if it stops, it will be replaced with something similar.
interesting. Um, do you think at times millennial get a bad rap that they don't deserve?
Uh, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. There's a lot of lazy millennials out there. We're a generation, like I said, we were during the inception of the internet. We wasted a lot of time on it. We're still wasting a lot of time on it as a generation.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, that part of who we are, like it's right there, like for the world to see. Now, one thing I would say is that a lot of the times, a lot of people confuse us with Gen Z. And Gen Z, I have noticed that Gen Z has the most vulnerable, brittle, and fragile characters that I've ever seen in my life.
Interesting.
And And the reason for that is like they want to change and shape reality in the way it's not. And a lot of millennials that are closer to their age are joining them. So those are the ones that are giving millennials like a bad rep for the most part, because there's a bulk of millennials that are out there trying to figure it out and working towards many different things. But we don't get the recognition, of course, because Gen Z and the younger millennials obviously take the spotlight to like start crying about things that don't matter,
Hmm.
so absolutely, yeah. I think, like I said, it's some of the things are granted, some of the things are not, and we just have to keep it real.
Well, when I think about the millennials um, in YouTube, first of all, you have some um, great people as far as millennials in YouTube. First of all, we have you, my cyber donor, and I think you represent the millennials very well. We
Thank
also
you.
we also have Virgo Latino, which I hope one day you'll consider popping up on my stream. He'll work whenever he's available. And of course, we have Christina. Um, Unfortunately, again, it seems like the bad apples seems to get more press. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. Bless you.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I said, it's both granted and it's not.
Hmm.
It's something that we have to just accept it for what it is.
Yes,
It is what it is.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And what I do believe that yes, we do look at things in a different perspective because it's due to the fact of when we became adults. Like in my case, I was born during the Cuban Missile Crisis, so that gives you an idea. Just to let everybody know, I'm 59. Uh,
Mm.
so as I was a kid, I was growing up listening to the Beatles and the Monkees and watching Saturday cartoons, which was the first thing we saw in color, and then we saw shows like um, Dragnet, Adam 12, and things of that nature. And then I became a teenager during the 70s, and I became an adult in the early 80s. So it was a different time. Also, there was a lot of political changes uh, with things becoming liberal. And then in 1980, things started to become more conservative. Um, that's when the evangelical movement became a force. So that's the type of environment we were exposed to.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, in the bulk, this whole thing with um millennials and baby boomers, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, like the way we view life, the way that, we make decisions, and I think just like us, we can find like a lot of generations in the past that have faced the same issues as us. Like if you look back in the 1830s, like I don't even know the name of that generation, but that generation went through the same austerity measures that our generations went through,
Hmm.
and they went through the same nosedive in the economics and whatnot. So of course, they're going to have a lot of similarities with us because we're in a first world country that innovates in solving a lot of issues that other countries even copy after a while. And to stay there at the top, you have to make crazy investments that unfortunately are coming out of the people. So we're going to always have this volatile economics, and that's going to affect the atmosphere where people are raised in, and we're going to get somewhat the same results. And we're seeing it now, like I said, with baby boomers and millennials. We're kind of like a lot alike. um, and we're seeing it even with Gen X and Gen Z. They're very much alike, very sensitive, very juvenile and whatnot. um, but overall, I think it is a good thing that we're having, like I said, these conversations, because we have to learn from you guys. And I think the more you reach your 30s and the more you start like getting into your 30s, the more you start realizing like how valuable wisdom really is. And also another thing that I would say has impacted, um, more than millennials, I would say seniors, but has impacted millennials as well, is the need for being special. I've said this many times. Like a lot of people nowadays are coming out as non-binary, as this and that, and this is where I'm from, this is who I am, and all these labels that are just crazy and almost ridiculous. Because in this world, we are all non-binary. Like nobody abides fully by their male gender role or their female gender role. Like we have from both. So everybody is non-binary. So when you come, oh, I'm coming out as non-binary. That's just an example. What you want is attention.
Mhm.
What you want is like a mass of followers that embrace you and are watching your life and whatnot, which is why we're seeing now in seniors that 6 out of every 10 seniors it's coming out as non-binary. You know, so to be honest with you, this is the need. Hi, Truth. How are you? He says
Yes,
I
good
want to join.
evening.
He says I
Um,
want to join you guys so bad, but I'm crazy busy right now. Sounds like an awesome conversation. Love you guys. I'm looking forward to listening later. Absolutely. I hope get that Christmas paper, Truth.
yes.
So to be honest with you, it goes back to the whole thing about like feeling special. Like there's a lot of people out there that are like that, and it's all because of the internet. Like if the internet were to collapse and we could no longer communicate through this avenue, a lot of people will stop being non-binary. A lot of people will stop being whatever label they have adopted, and they will just continue with their lives. And also some other people, probably their mental state will crash because they're so used to being special. And that's something that I do not know when it will stop existing. I think it will get old, but at the same time I think they're gonna come up with new stuff, and that scares the hell out of me.
Um, when this is one of the things that I struggle with because you have so many different labels today. Um, it's hard to keep track. You have the pansexuals, the trisexuals, you have the um, whatever, and you have to be mindful because if you make the mistake, uh, okay, um, if you make a mistake and identify as the wrong group, some people have a major hissy fit or a major meltdown. I mean, I know to some people I'm a little bit old fashioned, but I mean, the last time I checked, okay, there are certain individuals that could be born genetically with both sexual organs. I can understand that. But my understanding is people are either biologically male or female. Of course, some people may have surgery to alter their sexual anatomy, and that's fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to put together a video with, because I have friends that are like my family in the community, and I'm trying to like put together a video regarding this, because a lot of the responses that we get often is like, oh, you have to be educate yourself, or let me educate you and whatnot. And I'm like, yo, I don't have the time to get educated in, your sexual orientation or your gender definition, because I don't bore nobody with mine. And everybody knows, I've said it many times, I used to be very masculine and whatnot, and I can still see it. Like, I'm more feminine now, like I'm stepping more into my femininity. I see it every day, but I still see a lot of masculine traits in me.
Hmm.
And I think everybody is like that. Like, I don't think there is a specific gender where anybody can fit into right now. Like, there's a lot of men that we're seeing right now, wearing several hats and doing different things that they just like to do. And we're seeing a lot of women that are, all the shades in the spectrum. So, like I said, it's I don't understand why some people get to be called non-binary when we don't live in a binary system.
Denise, um, don't try to understand. You're only going to go crazy, crazy trying to do so. Or as I like to say, don't expect me to explain the crazy.
So it's a lot of things, because I know there's a lot. It's not that I am ignorant, it's simply that, because I'm this is the thing. A lot of people like to call us on the internet ignorant because we don't know certain things about, specifically, like right now, the LGBTQ plus community. We're not ignorant. You need to just simmer down and make things very easy for people that don't have a lot of time because they're busy working, to explain what's up. Because we don't understand all the terminologies and whatnot, and you need to stop getting angry at that, because all these things have never been in the mainstream for like at least 3 generations for us to understand. And a lot of people are not ill intended. Like, a lot of us really do care. Like, we don't want to make you feel like you're a piece of shit because you are who you are, but at the same time, we don't fucking know who you are.
Um, just think, just think about it. I'm a Christian, and then you have to go through the whole alphabet. How many types of Christians there are? I'm a Calvinist. I'm a Lutheran. I'm a Baptist.
Episcopalian,
I'm a premillennial Christian. I'm postmillennial. I'm semi-millennial, and it's like
Pentecostals, Seventh Day
it's
Adventists,
like
Jehovah
I mean
Witness.
it's okay. It's like well, Jehovah Witnesses. That's a separate group altogether.
Well, you know what's crazy?
What?
That's the Jehovah Witnesses. I'm gonna go a little bit off topic if you don't mind, but
No, by
this
all means.
the Jehovah Witnesses are the twin of the Seventh Day Adventists, and I'm gonna explain myself. The way the religion, and I studied this before I walked out of the church.
Hmm.
And for all of you that are catching the replay that don't know, I was born and raised a Seventh Day Adventist until age 22, when I finally left this church after 4 years of debate within myself. And so I study a lot about like their history and how they were formed and whatnot, trying to find answers as if I was in a cult or not. And I found that in the 1800s there was the Baptist church, and inside the Baptist church there was a man called William Miller, and he formed a group. He was a what's the name? The Masons. What's the name that they
You
had?
mean the Freemasons?
He was a Freemason. Yeah, he was a Freemason, and he formed a group, a sect, a cult within the Baptist church called the Millerists. And what they believe is that the Messiah will come again as God, and he will, uh, you know, all his people will be persecuted by the Antichrist, and will be put by like through a lot of hardship and whatnot, and until God comes back.
Okay.
and lifts up everybody that lived under his norm, and everybody that didn't is gonna stay here on a trial that's gonna last 1,000 years with Satan.
Yeah.
And
I don't mean to cut you off that, but
yeah, go ahead.
you're talking about it's what's called the tribulation. Um,
Exactly.
okay. Like I said,
And
as a Christian, I would know stuff like that, but I'm sorry.
exactly. No, no, don't worry. So basically, um what he did is like he told people like, I figured out the date of which this is going to happen. So he started preaching to a lot of people. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm getting a text. So he started explaining to a lot of people about how he figured out how these things were going to happen and blah 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 blah. And he was like, I figure out what's going on. And to be honest with you, a lot of people believed him, believe it or not. So we're talking about, I think it was what, like 100,000 people, like almost 200,000 people believed him.
Mm-hmm.
And he told people that basically God will come around 1843 or 1844. And what happened is that he decided that it was 1844. So he told people, sell your possessions, give them away, nobody cares, abandon your houses, and come find Jesus in 1844. I think it was around November 1844. So imagine, almost 200,000 people believe him, did that, walk away from their properties and whatnot in 1844, and went on to receive God. God never came, and that was called the Grand Fiasco. So after that group, inside that group, there were different people, and between them there was Helen G. White and her husband, Mr. White. I think it was James White. James White. I think so. I'm not sure. It's been a long time. So basically, between us, inside the Millerists that were frustrated from the Grand Fiasco, these two groups emerged, and people started crowding those two groups. And from those two groups is the Seventh Day Adventist with Helen G. White and her teachings of her husband that she claimed she had visions for, sent by God. And you have the Jehovah Witnesses. They were both from the same groups of people. And to be honest with you, they still teach that God will come in such a different way and will cause all these things, and the death will resurrect and then go and live with the rest of us in heaven. They don't believe that when you die you go to heaven or hell. They believe that your body rests. There's no thing such as the soul. The only thing that ascends to heavens when you pass away is the same breath of life that God gave us when we were born. So basically that's their beliefs, and if you think about it, it aligns completely when you analyze the theology of the Jehovah Witnesses. They have the same theology, but in their case it's like Jehovah is going to kidnap people in a specific way, and you're going to be, you're not going to be able to go to heaven and live in eternal peace and happiness if you don't do so many things. And that's how these two groups start extorting people. You have to give Jesus and Jehovah so many things that nobody can reach the goal. And that is what I call a cult, because it's completely different from open Christianity. Like, if you think about it, in Christianity, God is often portrayed more forgiving, more merciful, more open minded. But in these cults, it's so severe, that you start realizing that there's a lot of crap, there's a lot of bullshit here.
If I'm the fact of the matter is, what's the problem is, you have certain groups that say Jesus is going to come in such and such day, and he's going to come in such and such day. The problem is the Bible says that the Son of Man himself does not know the day or the hour of his return.
Yeah.
Okay, and also the Bible talks about, be careful when you say Jesus is over there or Jesus is over there, because it's people that try to deceive people who have no knowledge of the Bible, or they have a very weak understanding of the Bible.
Absolutely.
So another example, I don't know if you heard of a man called Harold Campy.
No, I have not.
Okay, he was a person that founded Family Radio, and he made a prediction. First of all, he predicted that Jesus was going to come back in 1994. Obviously, I'm still here, so therefore the rapture. And I think you and I believe in you're going to be in heaven with me as well. So you never know.
We never know. We'll see. You can tell me for at least 50,000 years, I told you so, if it happens.
And then he predicted that Jesus was going to come back on May the 21st, 2011. So what happened, you had thousands of people who sell their belongings, give up their homes, thinking that Jesus was going to come back on May 21st, 2011.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
Yes. No, I'm seriously. See, that's the reason why the Bible talks about, woe be the person that trusts in man. You didn't say it's not a good. I said, whoa. That means that's not me. Because I know as an atheist, it's kind of hard to understand the concept, but I'm going to try to put it in this fashion. What we are taught, not to trust in a human being, but to trust in God. And I know that for atheists, that's something that's a very hard concept to follow. And I can understand that, and I can appreciate it. And I think the best analogy would be is trying to speak Spanish to a person that understands Japanese. I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah.
Okay. I know, and this is not meant to be religious class or what have you, but
yeah, of course.
But since we did go that route, we might as well, Okay. But the fact of the matter is, if I was to share what I believe, the first thing I will tell you is, don't take my word for it.
Yeah,
you read it for yourself, and then you see whether I'm being truthful or I'm just pulling your leg.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. A lot of people within the church don't like that. They don't like, when people are questioning things.
Okay, but if you really with it, look up all the people in the Bible, all of them question God. Okay? And I mean, you're not going to find one person that God chose that they didn't have questions, because it's logical. I mean, let me put it to you this way. Let's say an angel were to come to you,
Mm-hmm.
and they claim to speak for God. Now, aren't you going to question that person?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We do that all the time. We do. Okay. Maybe. Now, I'm not going to get some Christians are going to hate me, but okay. As long as Jesus loves me, I don't care. The fact of the matter is, it's okay to question as long as you're trying to seek what you perceive as the truth.
Yeah.
What gets to be a problem is if you take the knowledge and you try to use it for your own gain, or even worse, you use the knowledge to try to deceive others. That's going to be a problem. Okay. Um, and that's something that atheists and Christians can agree with. Now,
Yeah.
I know some of my Christian brethren's going to be like, Jose is an apostate.
Oh my god. No, but seriously, you know what? This is something we should talk. I don't even know why we didn't talk about this when we talk about religion and the commercialization of Christ.
You know what I think part of the problem is this. Trying to portray Christianity and not sound like I'm a Pharisee, like some of us do, but simply explain why it is that we believe. Now,
Mhm.
I know that I stir a lot of controversy, at least with you, with the statement that I deserve to burn in hell.
Oh my god, no. I don't believe in that.
Okay.
Nobody deserves that. That's
Okay.
just
Okay. Well, this is where we have differences. Okay. And I understand that because you look at me in human terms, and I guess you would perceive me as someone's being highly moral. Okay. The
yeah.
issue is the issue is my standard is not based on what my morality is based on what I understand of the Bible. So therefore, I can actually make a statement like that. I deserve a burn in hell, and not even flinch.
But you know what? I don't judge you for that because you have to understand this. Like, I also came from the church. So I understand what, people's belief system is to them.
Mhm.
I have my own. I think it's just that, um, we don't get too vocal with it. We just grab what makes sense from a lot of places and form our own. Some atheists are wrong in the ways that they think. Some atheists are right in the way they think. Um, but to be honest with you, like I don't grill Christians because of their beliefs. Like I know what it represents when you have your faith, and like I said, it's your belief system, and from then it's like basically the core, and from then everything branches out, and then you form yourself, your persona around your belief system. So I'm not trying to crack no one's foundation, and which is why I think that's why I'm more tolerant of Christians than my fellow atheist. you know
And I try to be more tolerant of atheists than some of my other Christian brethren would be.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Because I look at it this way. I could have just as easily become an atheist, um, you know, if the circumstances were different. It's just
yeah,
that with me, Christianity is not a religion, it's a way of life, it's a philosophy, it's how I choose to interact to the Supreme Being, who I call God,
yeah,
and how I interact with others.
yeah. And that's but that's the problem. A lot of people nowadays have a lot of problems with that. People
Mhm.
don't want to accept others in any way.
That is so true. That is so true. That's why when you share with me some of this stuff, you know, in secret. I mean, sometimes I feel led to keep you in prayer, but I respect you. That's why I ask you, would you like me to keep you in prayer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I look at it this way. You may be an atheist, but it just takes the faith of one person.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
Hmm. So,
So basically, going back to the millennials and baby boomers, I don't even know how we drifted away from that.
um, you know what? That might be one of the mysteries we may never know.
We want to rewatch this,
And
but
and actually, when I do go to heaven, because I do believe in an afterlife, I'm sure I'm gonna have quite a few questions for God. And I know he's gonna be patient, and then he's gonna let me know. After a while, gets to the point when he said, "My son, that's enough." And it's like, okay,
you're gonna be that annoying child. No, I think you know what. Now that we're talking about this, like if that is true, if that theory is true, Christianity, um, I will definitely travel to other galaxies and see stuff. I think that's how, while you're asking God things, I will be going into the galaxies and exploring other forms of life until I find the Mandalorian. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
no, but you know what? I have a feeling what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up in heaven, and I'm gonna say to you, Denise, remember what I said when we were both alive?
We will see. But
Yes,
going back to millennials and baby boomers, like I said, it's a lot of things we have in common. I think we can both go to that solution. I mean, that conclusion.
yes,
We have a lot in common, and I think it's positive. Like I said before twice, it's positive that we keep on highlighting them so that we can learn.
yes. Um, Now, is there certain things that you would like for people my generation to do to better understand millennials?
Yeah, I will say, one thing is understanding that just because you're older and wise doesn't mean you're always right. Because the world has changed exponentially to when you guys were our age. Like, if we go back right now to 1991, how much alike the world looks like? Not a lot.
It was, I mean, let me tell you something. It was totally, totally different. First of all, um, there was still a certain amount of senility among politicians. I mean, you actually had people that were able to work together. Unfortunately, you're not seeing that today. And the last time that you saw a Republican actually be civil during the campaign was John McCain.
John McCain. But you know what, Jose? I don't think we're ever gonna go back to that. Like I think, like even if you think about it, Joe Biden has strippers dancing to get votes. Like we're never gonna go back to that. Like I said, the world has changed exponentially.
That's sad. It's true, but this is a video clip where John McCain was actually uh, addressing one of his vote supporters, because they were saying that Obama was a Muslim, that we have to fear Obama. And what John McCain said, that Barack Obama is a decent human being. It just so happens we have disagreements on how the country should be run.
Well, I think the last ruler, if we're staying in America, I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think America was built for that. Like America's president will always be like parallel to the times. It's just that to you guys, that was moderate and politically correct, which goes back to like what I was saying about the propaganda. Like if you think about it, my grandma used to, like, politics during her time used to be about people gathering outside and listening to this justice and governmental and people that were into politics presenting different theories and stuff like that, and they will build up a following depending on who listens to them. So politics have always evolved with the people, and it's always because you need the people to actually get in power. So we're never going to go back to that.
No.
Back in my grandma's time, it was different. Like you will have these people having these speeches that were very encouraging, that they were very how can I say, very passionate about your sense of duty and why you needed to do this and what was being done and the problems that they were facing. And it will be like that. It will be very passionate, very intense, and to the point of yelling and whatnot. You don't have that in 1996 and 1994, even the early 2000s. And now we have the clowns. Our politicians today are clowns because that's what society needs right now, clowns and power.
Yes. Well, one thing I would appreciate um, from the millennials when it comes to our generation, try to be a little patient with us. If we're not so tech savvy, I mean, look, some of us actually still having trouble dealing with the email. Okay,
Oh, trust me, my dad is, oh my god,
okay.
my dad.
I just I just learned to make you a moderator of my channel.
And I was supposed to dish you that one, but I've been so stupid busy. But trust
Well,
me, you're not the worst millennial out there. My mom learned how to scan a document in 2015, and she was so proud.
okay.
I'm like, scanners are going out of style. And she looked at me with like so much sadness. I was like, that's no longer the case. So
Um,
don't get frustrated. Technology is moving at a scary pace. So you're not gonna know everything.
well, maybe you can teach me, or maybe my cyber son-in-law. Um, can-
he'll teach you too, because
okay.
he's way more technological than I am. I'm more practical when it comes to technology. Like if I need that technology in my life, I will learn it. If I don't, I don't even try.
Because I am trying to polish my channel. Um, as you can see, I made some progress.
Yeah.
I have my own logo. I have my little video clip with the subscribe stuff and whatnot. Um, and I do intend to add certain um, parts of my channel. Like for example, like you do a piece on sports and the news. What I plan to do is do like a piece every week on unpopular opinions, which try to spice things up a little bit, and maybe give a quick review of movies and whatnot, because I want to like uh, polish off my channel.
I
Uh,
wanted to do that with no bullshit. Like do like my perspective on shows and movies.
mhm.
Um I don't know. That I would like to hear like your take on certain things. Um and that's a topic for another stream. But whenever you have the chance, have you watched The Handmaid's Tale?
No, I have not. I have to. I need to do that. Where can I watch?
You have to have Hulu.
Okay.
You go on Hulu and you look for The Handmaid's Tale and watch the whole show, and we can have a live discussion on your channel about it because it's, oh my god,
Okay.
there's so many things to dissect, and I'm obsessed with that show.
Well, I'm happy to say that now I have reached 30 subscribers.
Yay! You see progress.
And I actually got 4 this past weekend.
That's absolute progress.
So, but it could be, when you are a new channel, you know, it's not easy to develop quality content. I mean, and I don't want to be like, Lord forgive me, like Kim123 and blather about Mr. BBC and how these people going to these Latin American countries and being with women and whatnot, and being moronic about making the DR white again, and talking about the 3 roots and whatnot. I'm sorry. I don't want. I have other things, and that's not the reason why I created my channel. I don't claim to be a know-it-all. I'm just trying to share what little wisdom that I have acquired in the 59 years that God has allowed me to live.
That's absolutely good. But I'll say I'm gonna be heading out.
Yes, I'm the well. Okay, well, any final words?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this is a topic that deserves a part two, in my opinion. It's a discussion that must be keep going on. Like we need to keep like discussing similarities and solutions that you guys, or even turns that you guys took, so that we can use them to benefit our generation and make it stronger, instead of focusing just on the negatives and whatnot. It's time for us to just have the conversation, especially since now we're getting into more mature years.
Yes.
So before I leave, I want to thank you, Jose, for having me and inviting me to your show. I want to thank everybody that's watching. And I don't have a cool outro like you do, that you always say goodbye in a very cool manner, but but I want to encourage everyone to stay safe, have fun. Winter has started, despite Jose's different opinion. It's 60
I'm
degrees out
sorry.
there.
We're not even nowhere near winter, okay?
We're in winter.
No, we're not. We are nowhere near winter. I mean, come on. It's like 50 degrees outside. That's not winter.
It is.
Actually, it's okay. It's 46. And it's going down to 38 degrees. Isn't that wonderful?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But like I said, pack that extra jacket. It's time to, get that unicorn onesie and to watch your movies again. Turn up your heaters. Please do not use the oven. That's not safe. But turn on your heaters, and enjoy. I think we're entering a beautiful season. We're gonna have more cool live streams. I know Jose has a lot of topics that he's going to bring on. I'm gonna also bring a lot of topics that are going to be hot, to keep us warm in this cold ass winter,
which hasn't even begun yet.
That has begun. That it's here with us. We can feel it.
I don't.
Our tushies are cold.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put you in the background. So
Okay.
please don't go away. I just want to thank everyone for watching the stream, both on the live play and the playback. And the fact of the matter is, we do have a lot in common. Now, I'm preparing another stream, which the topic be how to avoid toxic people. I think it's something that is going to be interesting, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. And with that, I just want to say, people, please be careful out there, because there's a thing called C-19, and winter has not begun yet. And we need to make sure that we don't get any contact with the mentally, intellectually challenged people, or else we'll be infected by this stupidity. That being said, this has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Take care and peace.